What is good, Tsla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down some big news that just came out for Teslas. We're starting to see some Chinese production output being cut by the company, which has led to a bit of a sell-off so far. I'm also going to talk about the overall market, what's going on with the option chain, what's going on with more news about Tesla. I'm going to show you guys some very interesting charts about Tesla's sales in China and break down how things are looking, because this is going to be very, very important news for today. But before I begin to divulge information, before I talk about why we got some bad news for Tesla, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, Tesla got this big sell-off in the pre-market so far, trying to rebound a little bit, but it's not really much. Tesla has some tight resistance levels to be watching for. I'll be talking about the move I'm expecting and everything else on the chart in just a couple of minutes. Let's first talk about some data and stuff. Today is Friday, March 22nd. At 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have Barr from the Fed giving a speech. At 4 p.m., we have Bostic giving a speech, and all this data is very minor. SPY has max pay at 515 currently with a 2.18 puts to call ratio, over a million puts and 500,000 calls. But just because, we have a lot of puts, it doesn't guarantee we squeeze every single week. Max pains at 515. If it maintains this level, we could see market makers kind of like target that level. So we'll just have to wait and see. But there are some bearish signals on SPY I'm going to show you. The indices were up quite a bit. The Dow Jones, the Nasdaq, and the S&P 500, but the streak could be coming to an end. We had a 4-day winning streak. We'll see if this continues or not. The DOJ is taking a shot at Apple, claiming the iPhone maker has built a monopoly at the expense of consumers, developers, and competitors. I went into more detail about this yesterday. This was making big headlines yesterday, so this is a little negative for Apple. That's part of why Apple's been down quite a bit. Reddit shares are up almost 50% off after their IPO, which is good news for them. But if we do get a little pullback, that's always a real possibility. But then we could see a nice uptrend, at least for the longer term anyway, so that's going to be fine. Besides that, Target has doubled down its bonus payments for salaried employees this year. Good news for them because of improved profits and more growth. So that's good news for them. Now, for the market, let me just call it the market volatility is at a critical support. We'll watch and see if the VIX gets a bounce as we're at critical support. If the VIX gets that bounce, it could be because of the market potentially coming down. So watch for that. Puts and call positioning, it's on greed. It could actually continue to increase. So watch for that as well. Anyways, for Tesla, let's talk about the news. One major thing that's happening is right now, even as I speak, there's a lot of headlines still coming out about Elizabeth Warren and the whole SEC's fiasco. Elizabeth Warren calls on the SEC to investigate Tesla. There could be a new probe coming. This was huge news. This is part of why Tesla ended up selling off, making all the headlines. I went over this in a lot more detail yesterday. On top of this, Tesla stock is now dropping today because we had some bad news that came out. It slashed its Chinese factory outputs, not the best of news. So this is making all the headlines right now. Tesla is cutting its, hold on a second, sorry about that. Tesla is cutting its EV production at its Chinese plant amidst sluggish sales growth and intense competition at the world's biggest car markets. That is huge news that has come out. This month, they're instructing employees to lower production for both the Model Y Sport Utility and Model 3 Sedan. Those are some of the most popular vehicles, and they're saying this for many different reasons. Now, this is very important because the overall sales of passenger vehicles in China for the first 2 months of 2024 increased by 17%. But for Tesla, year over year, there was actually a decrease in their shipments, and they're up a lot against a lot of competition. The high interest rates are affecting them, slowing demand, and different spending behaviors amongst the Chinese people are all playing big roles in this. Demand is slowing down because of the fact that the entire economy is in a very, very different place, and at the same time, EV demand is also slowing down in other regions like the U.S. and Europe, which means that Tesla's domestic production is slowing down, especially as they're going to be shipping a lot of these out to the other parts of the world. So it's not the best of news. Some of the production lines at the Shanghai plants, including the battery workshops, are subject to longer suspensions. Not the best of news. And what else is not so good is the fact that this was announced right before Tesla has their Q1 deliveries reports. There's other headlines saying that Tesla's going to miss on their Q1 deliveries. So lots of bad news, guys. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. I have some charts. So this is the Chinese insurance data. Look for Q1 2024. Bit of a drop here compared to the other quarters. There was a drop in Q3 of 2023. So we're actually not at those lows. We were a lot lower than what we saw for most of last year. So it's not the best of news so far. This is the total Tesla insurance data. You guys can see we're kind of lackluster so far. Looking at the weeks into the quarter so far, we're a little bit lackluster right here. The purple line right here is 2024 Q1. So far, we're not the strongest. We need a very, very strong end, and it's not looking that well so far. When it comes to Chinese sales, the quarter is negative 25.7% quarter over quarter. Not the best so far, too. On more data, you guys can see that there are waves in which Tesla gets its sales, and there's actually a little decrease right here in the red lines. So we're actually not looking as strong because this is well past Chinese New Year. Demand is slowing down. We're seeing a little decrease right here compared to before. Hopefully, you guys can see those red lines, see how they're a little bit lower. And then last but not least, this is the total insurance data over the year. We're still not insanely low compared to like 2022, but we're actually below 2023. A little hard to see on this chart. So when I see on the share price of Tesla, here's my answer. I want to break this down in a lot more detail. So if we're bearish on Tesla, you want to be seeing this thing establish a lower high and basically establish a lower high relative to this and start sinking back down, lose 165, and we're going to be sinking all the way down, to, in my opinion, to like 160. And if we lose 160, 157.5 is a possibility, and so is 155. To be bullish, you want to see this thing break past 172. If we hold above 172, I could see an attempt to get to 175 plus, eventually 178. What I think is going to happen is this instead. So Tesla looks like it might be targeting this low right here at like 160. It's a real possibility. Tesla may attempt to rebound a little bit, get up to like 168 or so, consolidates a bit, trades sideways, and eventually starts sinking lower. If the market starts sinking, that's going to drag Tesla lower. So there's a risk of it coming down to this 160 area. But watch for confirmation if we lose 165. So it might pop and then drop as the most likely possibility. The chart is starting to show some weakness. Additionally, when you go on to like the 4-hour time frame, you will see that Tesla has this weaker looking structure developing too. We got this break from this rising wedge, plus we have a bearish PPO crossover that's developing. So, with this rising wedge, guys, look at this rising wedge. We got to break out of this. This is a bearish signal, especially as we have this gap to fill all the way down to 164. So it might rebound a bit and eventually come down to these levels. 160 is a real possibility, and there's going to be a risk of even more downside. So I just want to be honest with you guys. Not the best of news for Tesla. It may pop and drop, so watch for that very, very carefully. On to SPY. SPY, in my opinion, not looking that great. It's not officially breaking down, but just be careful because, and this also relates to Tesla, SPY has a left shoulder, we have a head, and we have a right shoulder, and we actually broke below 522, so it's showing some weakness. We established a lower low relative to this low right here, and we're going to be watching to see if we establish a lower high. That's going to be pivotal for SPY because the chart is starting to show some weakness, and this could start turning very, very soon as well. If you look at the PPO, it's starting to contract on the 4-hour. If it does rebound a bit and start dropping, this is just going to contract more. And if we get that bearish PPO cross, that's going to lead to a lot more downside. So I'm seeing some weakness on the chart right here. This is starting to slow, especially as we've hit a critical level. But here are the levels to watch for. If we're bullish, you want to break past 522. If we break this, we want to see it get back above 524. If we do attempt to push back up all the way up there, it could push up to 525 to 526 if we break 524. If we're bearish, you want to see it establish a lower high and start sinking. If we lose the low of the day, I'm going to be expecting 520. And if that fails us, 518 is going to be coming next. What is the most likely possibility, in my opinion? So always be prepared for either the bullish or bearish case based off our levels. But I personally think that SPY has a gap to fill below. It might rebound a little bit, grab liquidity in the 522s, consolidate, and eventually start coming down. I think 520 is coming, and if we lose that, 518 is a real possibility. I do favor that a bit more, and I do think the head and shoulders has a lot of confluences that do support this narrative that the market may sell off a bit. But just to be safe, watch for confirmation. Let's see if the trend continues. I'll be watching this very, very carefully. Onto the triple Q, let me show you guys this. The QQQ has resistance at the 446 area. We have support at 444. We also have that gap to fill at the 444. If we lose that, a bigger drop is coming to 442, if not 440. And I also want to note that we have an imbalance that's going to be taking us down to these lower levels. So the QQQ is starting to downtrend. We had this high here, came down, established a lower high, started to come down. It's looking weaker to me. To turn bullish, you want to see it break past 446.73. If we rebound, watch 446.73 is resistance. If we break past this, we could push a little bit higher back up to 448. And if we're bearish, you want to see it lose 444 and start sinking. What do I think is going to happen? Well, remember these levels just to be safe, guys. 446.73. If we break that, we could turn back up. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that the QQQ is going to rebound a little bit more, could try to rebound a bit, and eventually start selling off. We're going to be looking for a test of 444 to see if that holds. And if we lose that, 442, 440, they're all big, strong possibilities. I do favor us coming to the downside a little bit more. For Nvidia, I see an issue with the stock. So yesterday we had a double top leg structure at this 925 area. And then today, what happened during the pre-market? We popped again, grabbing liquidity and came right back down. But we're holding support at 908. If we lose this 908 support, a bigger drop is going to be coming. If we bounce off of this, it is what it is. But I do favor that it's going to come down. Which 908, if we lose this, a bigger drop is coming to 900, then 892, and eventually 885. If we're bullish, we want to break 920. If we break past this, we could push higher, but my gut tells me we're going to pop and drop, and then maybe do the same thing again, kind of like rebound a bit, grab liquidity, maybe test an imbalance. Maybe we could test one of these caps right here, then come back down. So I do see this thing potentially coming up, then back down, eventually losing 908. If we lose that, watch for a sink, a drop, excuse me, all the way down to like 900. Onto Apple's stock, Apple's also looking not the best. So Apple has a double bottom, like formation after it dropped so hard yesterday. Could push a little bit higher, but watch this resistance at 172.5, 173.25, and 174. My gut tells me that Apple could actually attempt to go a little higher to 173 to 174, consolidate a bit as we get close to that, and then eventually come back down. So just be careful on Apple. I think it might attempt to rebound a little bit, but then watch resistance could rebound a tiny bit, establish a lower high relative to this, and then start another downtrend since we had some very bad news that came out. Look for a bounce, rebound, consolidation, maybe a move back down. That is a real possibility on Apple. Watch 174, 175, 175.75 as key resistance levels. There's also 173.25 and then 172.5. For support, watch 170.9. If we lose that, watch 170 and eventually 169. I think it might pop and then drop. Look for a push up consolidation and move back down. That's it for now, guys. I want to keep the video kind of short to give you guys some time to watch this and get more time for this to upload. So just know, unfortunately, Tesla got some bad news involving the Chinese sales. Not the best of news. Tesla's showing some weakness. There's a risk of this selling off more towards 160. Be careful. If we lose 160, more selling is coming. The shorts like to take advantage of Tesla, so just get ready. Do what you have to do, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.